I thank the honourable member for his contribution to the debate. I now give the floor to the Honourable Attorney General. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'd like to very quickly just remind honourable members of in fact, the recommendations that were made by the committee, sir. And, Mr. Speaker, sir, the recommendations are quite telling. And it gives a good background to what I was going to say, and indeed provide a response to what the other honourable members on the other side were talking about. It says, the Auditor General to amend the strategic plan to ensure that its audit mandate is not disrupted due to unforeseen circumstances, events like COVID-19 pandemic. That proper training be developed in line with the audit training needs of the staff, so they are better able to perform their performances. The OAG should liaise with ministries and departments to allow for prompt facilitation of payments of outstanding audit arrears, especially municipal councils. The Office of Auditor General needs to specifically identify strategies and work to improve its current PEFA rating of C+. Its current rating was C+, not B+, not A+, but C+, before the next assessment period. That the PASI should conduct more regular reviews of the Office of Auditor General in the future, which allow the office to be on par with international auditing standards. In other words, it was not on par. The Office of Auditor General should consider exploring the use of technological infrastructure to assist in the conduct of the online audits. The Office of Auditor General should take note on the areas of improvement and implement improvements before the next PASI review commences. The Office of Auditor General should follow up with the Line Minister on the review of the Audit Act 1969 to modernize to suit the current environment of doing business, Mr. Speaker, sir. And the Office of Auditor General to conduct a comprehensive exit meeting to allow ministries and departments to rectify pertinent audit issues before tabling of audit reports to Parliament. Absolutely. The former Auditor General refused to do exit meetings. Refused. Hardly attended any entry interviews. Refused to do it. No good auditor refuses to attend meetings, exit meetings in particular. He refused. And you know, Mr. Speaker, sir, I know for a fact, he said he does not want to attend the meetings. There may be a conflict of interest. What an absolutely obtuse statement to make. A complete lack of understanding as to what an auditor does. If we check with the auditing standards, with the Fiji Institute of Accountants, it tells you that you must do exit meetings. This Auditor General, the former Auditor General, refused to do that. Mr. Speaker, sir, the acting Auditor General at the moment does do that. Mr. Speaker, sir, the other point that I would like to make also is that the lack of client engagement, whereby on several occasions that I've highlighted, the Auditor General failed to meet with the permanent secretaries or government representatives to discuss the issues identified in the Auditor General's report. Furthermore, the Auditor General has failed to attend entry and exit audit meetings, communicating that these meetings impact the independence of OAG. What a preposterous statement to make. This highlights the poor service delivery of the OAG of the past years. In regards to the audit engagement, when performing the financial statement audits, the OAG normally combines financial audits. I hope they understand what I'm talking about. They normally combine financial audits and compliance audits. This is precisely the reason why the audit reports have been coming late to Parliament. Because this is, Mr. Speaker, sir, what they should be doing is running them separately. So at least Parliament very quickly gets the financial audits. The compliance audits come separately. You don't do them simultaneously, or indeed even one after the other. Mr. Speaker, sir, this is currently a 2-year delay in tabling of audited financial statements, because they want to do both of them together. The effectiveness and efficiency of OAG audits have been concerning, with OAG focused with the quantity of audit issues raised in the DML. The DML is the draft management ladder, which they normally give to the ministry or the department, say, look, these are the things that we think we need to have a response. They focus on the quantity rather than the quality of it. The DMLs that are now being issued are around 100 pages long. Issues such as grant administration that should be included in the Ministry's finance manual, underutilization of budgeted funds, reconciliation not verified by the head of Treasury, disclosure of unserviceable items as lost in the financial statement, and disclosure of events that occurred after the balance date in the Ministry's financial statement show that the Office of Auditor General is not well versed with the Ministry's finance manual. They don't even look at the finance manual and say, look, these are the issues that need to be addressed in the finance manual, and this is what needs to come in the Auditor General's report. And the requirements of the Financial Management Act. They have not even read that, it would appear, and the finance instructions of 2010. This is what's leading to this preposterous list of items. Lack of adherence to the audit process by OAG, whereby we have noted the OAG continued to send 3 DMLs during the financial year 2017-2018, even though the exit meeting had been concluded. So what they do is say, this is the DML, so the ministry responds to that, they've done their response, after the audit's been completed, then after that they send them another DML, and then it turns up here. So then all these people here say, oh, look, this has not been responded to. That's what they've been doing. That, Mr. Speaker, sir, is a deliberate attempt to try and undermine these respective ministries and departments. No independent, no professional organization or person would actually do that. You have to come with clean hands. If you're an independent body, you've been tasked to do this, you go and do your job. Nobody's stopping you. Don't pull out these, underhanded tactics. You lose your credibility, and that's precisely what happened. Mr. Speaker, sir, they don't talk about that. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Ministry of Economy, Mr. Speaker, sir, for example, was not given an opportunity to discuss the additional issues highlighted in the subsequent DMLs. These issues are subsequently raised in the final management letter in the Auditor General's report to Parliament. Lack of consultation with the clients on the changes made to the reporting guidelines to Parliament. The Office of Auditor General released a new reporting guideline effective 1 April 2021. However, there was no consultation carried out by the OAG to understand the client's difficulties and foreseeable scenarios that may limit the client's ability to adhere to the required changes. The Office of the Auditor General lacks technical and specialized expertise, for example, in carrying out audits in fields such as climate change and sustainable development goals. Yet, within 9 months of it being announced, deploys valuable resources for this specific purpose. The SDG goals have been announced. Within 9 months, they're doing an audit, whether we've complied with that or not. No other part of the world will you have an Auditor General going out and carrying out an audit whether we've complied with the SDGs or not within 9 months. They don't even have the expertise. Mr. Speaker, sir, given the significant audit, don't shake your head, given the significant audit backlogs, Mr. Speaker, sir, and they all go on about that, given the significant backlogs with the ministries, Mr. Speaker, sir, audit backlogs, state-owned entities and the statutory authorities, you would have thought the Office of Auditor General would direct resources to the more high priority areas. Carrying out performance, Mr. Speaker, sir, audit. Performance audit in low priority areas such as monitoring of implementation of the Sugarcane Development and Farmers Assistance Program, performance audit on the licensing and monitoring of river, gravel and sand extractions, performance audit on the access for persons with disabilities to public office and public transport. The Office of Auditor General knew. They complain about the municipal councils. They complain about other offices, ministries, that they need to know the information. The opposition needs to know the information. The members of the public want to know. Agriculture, all these other departments, high yielding ministries, high staff turnovers, not turnover, high staff numbers. They're not being given priority, but all these other areas are being given priority. That is what we are questioning. And just because they're an independent office does not mean we cannot question them. In the same way, as I said yesterday, sir, as we said yesterday, sir, that the opposition can question, can scrutinize government policy. They can do that. In the same way, we can question decisions. In the same way, for example, if we're not happy with the decision of the courts, we can appeal it. Mr. Speaker, sir. The same if you're not happy with the decision of the DPP's office, we can appeal it. Mr. Speaker, sir, the OAG, Mr. Speaker, sir, has never communicated, in the 5 years this former Auditor General was there, never communicated a strategy or indicated its intention on how it intends to address the significant backlog of audits that currently exists. They don't appreciate the fact that today, before the Auditor General's budget used to sit with the Ministry of Finance. If you pick up your budget estimates, you will see they have one line item. Judiciary is one line item. All the independent officers have one line item. What does that mean? We don't tell Parliament how to spend their money. They come and make submissions on the budget and they go off and they do their own thing. They have their own procurement procedures. They have now also, Mr. Speaker, sir, they've moved away from FMIS. Auditor General has moved away from FMIS. He wants to go and buy 25 cars, you can buy 25 cars. You want to buy 25 bicycles, you can do that. It's his choice. That's why you have a one-line item, which they don't actually come and tell this Parliament. They're not coming to Parliament with this clean hands, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, Ministry of Economy has had to initiate discussions on this and has provided options as to alternative ways to proceed because of the backlog. They can farm out. They can give it out to the different private companies. Honourable Randondo, on that note, the matter is not being held up with the Solicitor General's office. The Field Institute of Accountants and the Solicitor General's office, I know as far as 2 days ago, were trying to finalise the regulations. It will be put in place. The regulation does not have to come to Parliament. Once it's finalised, then it will be put in place. Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, again, there are other options such as allowing state-owned entities to pay for outsourced audits by Office of Auditor General have been rejected. We've said, get these entities to pay for it. Just hurry it along. They're independent auditors. They adhere to international standards. Get them to do it. Office of Auditor General has never come to us and say, can you give us $1 million more because we want to outsource it? No. If they did, we would have given it to them. We can't tell them, here's $1 million, you go and outsource it. It's up to them to tell us. They had all these options to do so, but they did not. Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, the other points that I wanted to also raise was just in response to some of the issues that was raised previously. They've gone on about, the Office of the Auditor General's position, or the Auditor General's position, it should have just simply been renewed. I didn't hear them saying anything when we actually advertised the position of the Commissioner of Police after 5 years, when we advertised the position of the Commissioner of the Commander of the RFMF, when we advertised the position of the Commissioner of Corrections, when we advertised the position of the Governor of the Reserve Bank of Fiji, when we advertised the position of the Supervisor of Elections.
Order.
Every single person appointed by the COC, sir, every single person appointed by the COC that gets appointed for a 5-year term, their position has been advertised, even after the 5-year term. So they want special rules for the Auditor General, but no special rules for anybody else. See, this is the contradiction. They shoot themselves in the foot. Mr. Speaker, sir.
Order.
Mr. Speaker, sir.
Order.
Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir. Yes, when anybody steps out of their mandate, we have a right to question. It's not a question of attacking. It's a question of maintaining the integrity.
Order.
It's a question.
Order.
Mr. Speaker, sir, we have the ability to question in the same way they have the ability to question anybody else. It's not just Parliament. Anybody can question, sir. We have decisions that are questioned about the judiciary by lawyers. It's not done by Parliament. We have questions of the DPP, not done by Parliament. FICAC, another, people have raised the questions about that. People have raised comments, NGOs have made comments about the police. They've raised issues about the commander of the RFMF. They've raised issues of the Commissioner of Corrections. Where were you then? Don't be hypocritical. You see, this is the double standards. He's saying Parliament, Parliament, Parliament. But these independent institutions can be. This is the problem. You see, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Order.
This is the problem. This is the problem of somebody who is subservient to a person who carried out the first coup in this country, who undermined the institutions of the state. That's his problem. Mr. Speaker, sir.
Order.
Mr. Speaker, sir.
Order.
Mr. Speaker, sir.
Order.
Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir. Honourable Gavoka,
Order.
Mr. Speaker, sir. Honourable Gavoka, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Order.
Mr. Speaker, sir. Honourable, the amount of the rape and pillage that took on the institutions after 87, you should know what happened. How the institutions were completely undermined. And he does not talk about that. Mr. Speaker says he left a legacy. Honorable Gavoka said that I threatened. Please.
Order.
Please. You lost your credibility, my friend. Mr. Speaker, sir, Honorable Gavoka said that I threatened all the other political parties. All I did, Mr. Speaker, sir, was simply read out the provisions in the Financial Management Amendment Act passed by this Parliament, Mr. Speaker, sir. And all I did was, and I read this, I'm going to read it again. If A, political party, B, a candidate for election to Parliament, or C, any other person representing or acting under the direction of a political party or candidate makes a financial commitment, whether orally or in writing, the political party, candidate or other person must immediately provide a written explanation setting out the following information. Not manifesto, written explanation. 1, how revenue for the financial commitment is to be raised. 2, how expenditure for the financial commitment is to be made. 3, how expenditure is to be allocated to different sectors and budget sector agencies. And 4, if expenditure exceeds revenue, how the deficit is going to be financed. Mr. Speaker, sir, it's very simple. All we're saying that if you are going to now go out to members of the public, go to these young people and promise them all free university education and say we will give you nice new homes for free, Mr. Speaker, sir, you have to tell them where you're going to get the money from. You may turn around and say, look, it's going to cost us $100 million a year. That means I'm going to cut off $50 million from FRA, $50 million from Water Authority of Fiji. That's fine. That's how you do it. Yesterday, we released the figures as to what is the economic position in Fiji, what is the financial position in Fiji, what is the debt level in Fiji, what is the growth prospects in Fiji, and from that you can make you an extrapolation. They're saying to who? Who governs political parties? You have lawyers, be bright, use your brains. Mr. Speaker, sir. And saying, who are we going to report this to? Mr. Speaker, sir, it's so, Mr. Speaker, sir, it's so inane.
Order.
It's so inane. The comments they make is so inane, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir. And, Mr. Speaker, sir, they continuously come to Parliament, spread misinformation, Mr. Speaker, sir. And this, the Commission of Inquiry, of course, Mr. Speaker, sir, is going to give its report, and we will see what the Independent Commission of Inquiry does say. All in all, Mr. Speaker, sir, we all agree that the standard of auditing process in Fiji, the efficacy and the efficiency with which they must operate must significantly improve. The Office of the Auditor General's independence is guaranteed in the Constitution. You have the Audit Act of 1969. And all of these, Mr. Speaker, sir, provisions clearly state the laws that pertain to the Office of Auditor General, how they should conduct their affairs, and indeed how they should be left to be independently to do so. But that does not mean, nor does it negate, the ability to have standards, international standards apply to these independent institutions. That's all we are saying. That's what this report is saying, and it's saying how we can improve that, Mr. Speaker, sir. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
I thank the Honourable Attorney General for his contribution to the debate.